Writer's Block by John Murphy. Charming words undress me, they divest me of my poetry. Cunning words deceive me, they swindle me out of poetry. Zealous words inflame me, they kindle me out of poetry. Adjective, words. Verb, me. They verb me. Something, something, poetry. Thank you.
Beautifully crafted poems by Lorna Milligan. Lorna has an enigmatic, delicate and distinctive style of writing. Her poems invite us into a world of wonderment. Unfortunately, Lorna, who is a great part of our editorial team and design team, is in Newcastle tonight and can't be with us. She sends her apologies. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce superb local actress, Maureen Kelleher, for to read two of Lorna's poems from Drumlin Hearts, entitled Mariana and Honesty. Thank you.
Starting with Mariana by Lorna. You have no place in the country. Blue hunch curls and scarlet lipstick stride down Main Street like a heart. You reveal little of your origin, or the plans of your origin here. So we invent your past. Rosie Fitzpatrick says you are married to a lawyer in London. Elsie Kennedy says your father banished you from public sight. We are all wrong. You might try to correct them, but it is impossible. Once rumors hatch, they bear witness. Patsies, pigs, he left and I go. You won't fall for his solitary charms. There is a presence in your eyes no one dares decide. You won't get to lay low when you look like that. You infiltrate our minds, seduce our dormant needs. You make us long for a different sort of life, beyond the boundaries of others' expectations. They say, have patience, as if it's something you accept, grow used to. And I remember, I don't see this. I smell the pattern and trees in the rain. I feel cars and their legs. I hear cute feet. Oh, wait. I remember the time I opened your heart. It was tremendous. That erotic hum of desire.
Thank you, Maureen. Next up is one of our youngest members, a 14-year-old, you won't like me saying that, Mark O'Reilly, who joined us during the summer. Mark is going to read a poem for you called Alice, inspired by Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Please give a big round of applause.
This is just called Alice, and as Mary said, it was inspired by the whole Alice in Wonderland story. Alone she sat in her cell overpadded, all because Alice has spoken to Robbins. She sits in the corner, rocking, unnerved, her body now rigid where once it curved. softens her existence unstable. Fixated on Carolyn is word or escape. Things bear no meaning, no logic, no shape. To hear her mutter, her terrible fate, a fate of her life, for she cannot relate. No family has Alice, no family she needs. Carol's book taken from her, no, never to read. She now looks around, and yet does not see. Who suffers such sadness? Who suffers but she? She closes her eyes, and the magic appears. She opens her eyes, pursued by her fears. Forever she will stay there, the rest of her days. Her passion is gone through her, forever she pays. So still Alice sits, herself overwhelmed, running in her mind to escape my prophet.
Next up, I'd like to invite Sean McKiernan, or Cavan of the Cavan County Council, just to say a few words tonight.
Thank you, Maria. I apologise in advance for lowering the tone of proceedings. I know I'm involved in the growing profession of politics, and all of you are involved in enjoying life and in making life more enjoyable for everyone else, whereas my profession at the moment seems to be doing the exact opposite. So I apologise for lowering the tone of proceedings, and I thank you for allowing a Philistine like me into your presence. Albeit briefly, I have to go back to Bailieborough at the Christmas party. I think I'm the only man, about 20 women at the party. So you'll understand if you can't really compete with that prospect. Just on my journey, I noted that a lot of homes, it just seemed to dawn on me that a lot of homes now have their Christmas lights up, their Christmas trees up in their bay windows and their conservatories, and maybe a few of the outside trees as well. And you know, Christmas is upon us. And today was a particularly dark day, particularly dark, very rainy, dark clouds. You know, even during the daylight hours, it seemed as if it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And yet all these lights on my journey here reminded me, you know, that there is light in the darkness. There is hope. As human beings, we all strive for hope. And we saw we saw the tragedy of suicide again in Donegal, and twice in one family, and that represents the death of hope for some people. So really, my presence here, in kind of to associate myself with the launch of this book, is to kind of celebrate your cultivation of hope, your distillation of hope, your distribution of it to the people of County Cavan, which I think is tremendously important. I suppose to further say it builds on a great tradition in this county of Dermot Healy and of Tom McIntyre and of Noel Monaghan, and so you are now added on to that tradition, and again I salute you for that as well. I enjoyed, even though people might think it, or he might think it, I enjoyed Ted's very stirring call to us as people to reclaim our sense of nationhood from institutions and from bureaucracies which very often are faceless, which very often go against the basic human instinct of freedom, of personal freedom, of creative freedom, which try to box us into different categories, into different terminologies. I very much enjoyed that call to arms. And it made me think, I really loved the last verse of Tennyson's poem Ulysses. And if you'll indulge me, I'm not a great actor. I know a lot of the actors, by the way, come from Bailieborough, which is the second best town in Cavan. Obviously, the county town we're in, which is the most important. But I suppose you might say with a politician in here, there's a fourth actor from Bailieborough amongst your presence as well. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Carter. Just if you indulge me to remind you of the final part of Tennyson's Ulysses. because I think it's important for us to have the hope I referred to at the start. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper, co-ordinated hearts, made weak by time and faith, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. So I salute you for not yielding to the depression and the pessimism in our society, and I encourage you to go forth and lead a revolution of renewal in our country, because I believe our recovery will as much happen in these places where Grania has opened up her heart to your creative energy, and indeed the creative energy of others on many a night here, and I think that's where the future lies. So thank you, Maria, and to Patricia, who invited me as well, for allowing me to say these few words. Have a really great night. Thank you.
Next up, we have a narrative entitled The Changing of the Guard by Patrick O'Reilly, or Paddy as we know him. Patrick's a great narrative writer. He's penned this powerful piece which serves as an irreverent take on death, hereditary social standing and intellectual isolation in a small Cavan town. We'll see if you can work out which one it is. We've got local actors Conor Sheridan and Dara Smith to read The Changing of the Guard. Big round of applause.
This here is by Patrick, and it's also very appropriate for politicians called Changing in the Garden. They're always changing.
I always feel the same.
He looks well,
said John T. I've seen him in better form, I replied, wincing inwardly at the complete ridiculousness of the statement.
you know what I mean.
He whispered as I absent-mindedly stroked the brass handles on the box. Actually, I haven't a fucking clue what you mean. I fail to see how he can look well. In fact, he looks exactly the opposite of well. He couldn't look less well if he put a match to him.
Here, he pleaded. It's just one of those things people say. Wait, if there's nothing else to say.
I know it's one of those things people say, and it's a perfect example of how thick people can be. John G. shifted uneasily, aware of my distaste for sentimentality at moments such as these, especially when it was one of our own. Still though, I chuckled, have to hand it to Noel, cause of death, run over by a fucking micra. It must be a foot.
Aye,
said the junior civilly.
it's a queer, unique way to go, alright.
Trying to suppress the grin. But that's what's happened, I'm afraid. 2 days prior, our dear Uncle Noel Farmer left the premises of Hannigan's Bar, crossed the main street in Virginie, and paused for breath against P.J. Hogan's back nightclub, where he fell asleep in a prostrate upright pose, propped against the rear passenger door, head and elbows hard-walled to the roof. Shortly after, an equally drunk P.J. vacated Smith's public house with an anxious rod of a young lady.
For a young lady.
For a young lady.
Sorry.
In Valadoff, squeezed into the driver's seat and sped off. PJ never saw Noel fold against the curb like a sack of roasters. not heard the crack of his temple against the cement. The concentration of blood in his loins had prevented the necessary means of concentration in his brain. The puce bruise nestled above Noel's right ear, amidst the sparse grey hairs, was the only outward sign of the inner hemorrhage which resulted in his current and permanent state. Come on, I said. We'll bounce before the who or knower comes back. John nodded in agreement, blessed himself awkwardly, and we left for Smith's. The funeral was in the afternoon and we had some mourning to do. Besides, neither I nor his brother had any interest in listening to Noel's philanthropist widow keening over the coffin of a man whom she only ever viewed with varying degrees of distaste or interest. We sat in silence, the comfortable silence that can only be shared between brothers until such time as the boredom and drink inspires speech.
Do you remember the time you ran for the council?
Said John. I do indeed. The posters called him a working man for the Workers' Party.
I never knew you were.
Didn't believe it. Believed in the welfare state as a natural stepping stone to a socialist republic.
All right,
Said my less than politically astute brother.
how many votes did he get again?
3.
Including his own.
Well, he hardly voted neutral.
Aye,
Said John.
hardly did.
The silence resumed until the 5th pint was tested and approved when the younger sibling inquired,
Here, if no one was so involved in all that communist stuff, why the hell is he heading to the chapel in an hour?
I suppose it's dear Nora's last chance to twist the knife, I mused. Do you know what she said when I told her Nora always wanted the Internationale to play him out? Oh, I don't think the choir knows that one. And then turns to her sister with some crap about a Red Army soundtrack in a in the Catholic Church. I tell you, that usurper is more Soviet than the bloody KGB. The last time he spoke was in the corner of Hannigan's. His countenance was haggard, but his humor was upbeat and his speech coherent. The subject was Baudelaire, interspersed with laments over the softness of draft stout.
Well, lads, rebuilding the wall again?
Carney, the smart-arse quarryman, interrupts lecherously to the chorus of sniggers from his passing entourage.
A good man, Shane.
Replied Noel in an almost convincing tone of welcome.
You're keeping well. To be sure you are a lad like you. But I'll tell you, if we were, it won't be to Daddy will be going for a good price on shale.
Carney's face smartened.
I'm only messing with you, Vic. Come on and join the discourse. Enlighten us with your knowledge of Marxist principles on the common ownership of property, or elucidate the dictatorship of the proletariat.
Not getting any help from me. Or maybe if you don't like the big words, you could have an owl rant about the Cuban embargo. I could see that his neck reddened along the collar of his check shirt. From the nape to his impeccable hairline, a dark crimson blush had risen through the pores, and the ugliness of the ignorance presented itself in a very real way.
You're one rare prick, farmer. Who's the Mrs. Mountain tonight?
Seemingly unfazed by the vitriol, the uncle promptly replied,
Share and share alike, the cornerstone of a fair society, young Carney.
and then as an afterthought,
I'll tell you one thing about the missus though. I didn't get her from the Land Commission.
returning to his pint as the last syllable was uttered. If he was aware of the effort needed to restrain the young quarryman, it was not apparent as he took a long, deep slug from the glass, wiping the remnants of his yellowing head off his lips with a grimy sleeve. Stick to the rocks, child. A head like yours is suited for nothing else. He bellowed, never looking beyond the edge of the counter. A fucker like that deserves a good kicking, I told him as he animated Carney as he shuffled to the far end of the bar by his sympathetic companions. Well, you'd have your boots worn if you had to kick every small-minded wanker in this parish, he continued. Horizons no broader than the beads that were born in. If I wasn't so inclined, I'd pity the gobshites. I considered the old man's wisdom for a moment and continued to consider giving the insulting bastard a good hiding. I didn't know if he noticed that the thumb and point is in my knuckles, but as he made to leave, Noel placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder.
Learn to relax, kiddo. A lad like you must learn to if you're aiming to keep your mental faculties in a town like this.
He gently forced a vacant smile and then jerked slightly, as if reminded of something uplifting.
Anyways, I must be off. I have Shiraz and Cesario waiting for me in the loft.
As he reached the door, however, he doubled back and spoke low and solemn into my ear.
But seriously, lad, learn to relax. I'll end affect myself.
And with a weary subterranean breath uttered his final solitary word in my company. It was a few minutes later that I came upon my uncle with Father MacArthur whispering the act of contrition in his ear like an idiot. I remember a bullet-ridden garland from Noel's oral historic foods. It's a doctor I need, not a bloody witch doctor. I shouldn't have been surprised when entering the church to see that my dear uncle had gained the typical parochial level of popularity that can only be achieved by death. The place was packed, standing room only in the foyer, where myself and Jonty found just enough space, unfortunately in close proximity to Carney, and a similar gang of plebeian spudheads. From the altar I could hear the warblings of MacArthur and the grimacing at the recollection of Noel telling me of my confirmation day.
Ignore the words of an overrated tradesman and then quote him.
At the mention of God calling his several home, I said to myself, my uncle was no vassal. He wouldn't stand for this, so neither would I. However, instead of marching up the aisle and ending the farce in a display of passion and fervour, that I simply placed myself on the cask of holy water to my rear. On impact, the barrel duly collapsed in an implosion of oak and stained brass, sending a torrent of Lourdes' finest cascading through the vestibule, blessed by my hemorrhoids and the corns, at least 24 holy kneelers. The first of the O-faced pious to react was Carney, hauled my sodden self up by the collar and against the wall.
What sort of a fuck are you to be coming to your own uncle's funeral pissed and reckless?
He spat. To which I countered, what sort of a fuck are you to be here at all? Swiftly raised my knee for an accurate and timely rendezvous with his testicles. As for the rest of you, I shouted, commanding the stunned attention of everyone within earshot. If the man in the box was so well liked when he was upright, he'd be getting a state funeral here today. After which I crossed the wet and fetal Carney and made my exit.
Jesus,
Says John, catching me at the gate.
that was some show.
It was no show, brother, I replied. That was the changing of the guard. As they shook the excess water from each leg, continued stone-faced and determined towards the town.
Thanks to Conor and Zareth, that wonderful interpretation of the change of the guard by Patrick already. Next up, we have a beautiful poem called Luna's Call. And Luna's Call was written by Julie Shields, one of our members and a local artist. Julie paints with words as well as she does with paint. And Luna's Call is a testament to that style. The poem narrates the passing of one generation of a family and the emergence of another, all by a frosty lunar watch. Again, I'm going to call on Kerry Mullen, another one of our members, to read Luna's Call for you all.
Ancient echoes stir the riverbed, guiding Icelandic swans to this birthing place. A chilling wind forewarns, lustrous crescent watches the creeping ice fossilize all beneath. Windows with lit candles salute passing ghosts. He left in a box as Luna journeyed to the solstice dance. A decade cycle passed. The house on the hill, cloaked in peat-scented heat, melting to plundering ice crystal spears. She first saw Orion's outstretched hand, then heard that intimate voice. She too left in a box under Luna's solstice watch. The swans, whoop, whoop, aloud, trumpeting a mating song. Raven and flame-haired offspring stick a carrot in the snowman's face.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you. Next up, we have two poems by Antoinette Rock. Antoinette, the master of precision words and images. The first she's going to read for us for herself, and it's called Virginia, or Virgin if you prefer, 3 a.m.
The inspiration for this poem when I was out collecting my daughter, not when I was wandering around 3 a.m. Just to clarify that from taxi duties. Virginia, 3 a.m. Stageless picnic, lyrics lose tempo. Stepping into uncertainty, high heels and hat. Heated, slurring tussle. Fast forward to a warm embrace. Knotted, wrestled, tussle asphalt. Gently, horseplay, heydays, a Concord hotel. Hackney exits through, round doors, where headlights prison, ginger dangled skittle, jaundiced, urinated walls. Beyond the chipper, brown cloth bags are airborne, their promise over, chances blown, hands happen in another form. All will be transformed by dawn.
Thanks, Antoinette. We're going to have another one of Antoinette Rock's poems next. It's called Cold War Words, and again I'll invite Maureen Calher to read that one for you. Or Mary Conan then to read that one. Antoinette herself, okay? Speak volumes in unspoken sighs. Shudders mute the sharpest streak. Well-buttered tongue sheets a razor. Double glazing drowns the siren. A night that bleeds no banshee wail. Carpet muffles canine yelps. The cast down shout lasts longer. In echoes bones. There is no question, but blank answer lingers. No language, no Google Translate. Next up, I'd like to invite Francis MacDonald to a monologue for you all. Sorry, apologies. I'm going to change the lineup. It's actually Dervla Rosetti who's going to read for you next. Dervla's going to read two poems for you. One entitled Speck and the other The Moth. Both of these poems are inspired by journeys and they examine human feelings of insignificance in relation to the vastness of the wider world. Also, I'd like to credit Dervla with the beautiful ink drawings in our booklet. Okay, thanks, Dervla.
Stretches before me, colossal, and were I but a speck among its mass, how contented I would be to disappear into its blue, forever encased in its treacherous arms, away from the light of the world. This poem is called Gamut. They stand like soldiers, guarding some invisible king. The king that is the place itself, a place that does not exist. Planted in my mind is a dangerous idea, the flight of the mind that has long since crash-landed into agreement.
Thank you, Dervla. Next up, one of our original members that we met back in V301, Natasha Helen Budden. Natasha has a wonderful way with words. Her language is a melting pot of decadent colours and images. She writes both narrative and poetry and is currently working on a novel, Empire Evolution. Tonight she will read two poems for you, a short poem that's in the volume Sacra Via and one of her newer poems, Disappear. Thanks, Natasha.
As Maria said, the first poem I'm going to read is Sacra Via, and it's an observation of the struggle between autumn and winter as nature battles to hold on to the year's last shreds of life. And on some levels, it's a metaphor for human struggle to hold on to better things in life, though they will eventually be forced to let go as life takes away everything they can. Sacra Via. Autumn's kaleidoscope refracts a vision, ablaze with amber and ruby ferocities. A leafy sunset salutes the emerald background. Fiery carpet licks the forest floor as death's blood-soaked banners flutter in glory on the flagpole above life's white surrender. This next one is Disappear, and Disappear is about the urges we feel to escape a life more ordinary and pursue our dreams, even if only in our own minds. And the magic a midnight adventure instills in our imagination. Disappear. Rubies twinkling from the darkness. There are myriads of you trailing off into the distance. Cars zip by on other roads. You wordlessly pass with a headlight flash, then go along your way. I follow your journey into the midnight hour. Around me, grotesque beautified greetings herald Hibernia. Epilepsy spurring NYPD blue. I am just waiting for the sirens. Monochrome factory art, ink-blurred edges, washed into a comic strip in searing white daylight. Industrial suburbia, hell above ground. You are the stranger washing ashore. I am just a dreamer, a satellite. Neon shadow blinks on the clouds, flickering, airborne. One last glance, then gone forever in a moment. On every road there are adventurers, nighttime voyagers, directionless wanderers, just like you. Can I hitch rides into destination unknown, to the edge of the map? On mission uncharted, I am with you. Breakfast dreamer, I am anywhere but here.
And next I'd like to ask Karen Mullen to come up here again and to say a few words on behalf of the CSPCA, our chosen charity tonight, Cavan Society Protection of Cruelty to Animals. Harry.
right? Their chairperson, Tina. She's probably out saving some animal as we speak. Anyway, listen, I'd really like to thank the Writers Group for deciding to donate whatever money is raised from the book to the CSPCA. As we all know, there's a hierarchy in society at the moment in regards to charities, and unfortunately, I think the animal charities are down the list. But, paradoxically, this is the time, right? There are so many unwanted animals, and the larger types as well, the horses, the donkeys, that, were acquired during the boom. Everyone had to have them, they were an accessory, right? Now, unfortunately, they're being discarded. So never has the need been greater than for funds for animals at the moment. So we really would like to thank the Writers Group sincerely for deciding to donate their funds to the area. Thank you. You didn't know this was going to happen, Maria, right? I promise you it will be painless. I asked the group to write down just one word, right, which comes to mind when I think of Maria. Included are amazing. You're enthused and alive, which is brilliant. You're inspirational. You're radiant. You're so very honest in your opinions. Are you squirming? Yeah. You're a huge help for people in their search for perfection. You're generous. You're heartfelt. You're incredible. You're passionate and you're patient. And we would sincerely like to thank you for bringing us together and holding us together and creating this, because it is down to you. So would you like to come and take a little present?
Thank you so much, and as much as they thank me, really the thanks is to the group themselves, and it has been a tremendous pleasure to work with. It has been an amazing pleasure to get to know them as people and also as emerging writers. I say that with complete sincerity. For our interval act next, we'll let you all grab a cup of tea, coffee, some drinks, some food. You'll be entertained by Niall Trainer, Comus Monaghan, singer-songwriter. So Niall will entertain you to begin with, and that will be followed by Teresa McManus, our own Cavan singer, accompanied by Dan on guitar. So enjoy the interval. We'll be back to you.
I'd like to invite Tracey and Dan Sweeney to the stage.
Maybe the likes of
ponder his death and his life eternally. For all of you must discover, for all who seek to understand, for having left the path of others, you'll find a very special hand. And it is a holy thing, and it is a precious time, and it is the only way. Forget-me-nots among the snow, it's always been, and so it goes to ponder his death and his life eternally. One bright blue rose outlives all those 2,000 years, and still it goes to ponder his death and his life eternally. And the next song we're going to sing is Caledonian. Sorry, Take two. The changes that have come over me in these past few days, I've been afraid that I might slip away. I've been telling old stories, singing songs that make me think about where I come from. That's the reason why I seem so far away today. So let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me. Now I'm going home. But if I should become a stranger, my ways clean. And now I know what I will do tomorrow when the hands are shaken and the kisses flow. I will diffuse the peace. So let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're golden. Now I'm going home. But if I should become a stranger, know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. Yes, Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. All lies that you told me, all the tears that I've cried, all the loving you gave me, it was right. I could never imagine when I felt so high that there could be somebody new, better than you in my life. When I woke up this morning with tears in my eyes, I never
Alright everybody, we're going to start part 2, but first I'd like to thank Niall Trainer, singer-songwriter from Monaghan, not Jonas. That wonderful set. And also to thank Teresa and Dan as well, Teresa McManus and Dan Sweeney for that lovely selection of songs. I'd also like to point out to you all that the photos and the pictures, the watercolours I should say, that you're seeing on the tables tonight belong to our own Andrea Roder. Some of them you can see in Drumlin Hearts and they are for sale tonight as well. So if anybody's interested, you can have a look at Andrea's watercolours on the tables. To kickstart part 2, one of our very first members, Sinead McDermott, again back from B301. Sinead is one of our very strong narrative writers, and the piece that we're going to hear this evening is called The Bog Over Pines. Connor has agreed to take over Dara's duties to read that, and the piece was inspired by the hybrid border state, an accent that straddles the borderline and the intergenerational conflicts and characters it summons up. So Connor to read The Bog Over Pines by Sinead McDermott.
I hope I do justice to this my excuses already. Very short notice. Bog over pints. A heavy day, lad. Malik agreed with his grandson outside the scarn with a nod of his bald head. Aye, Grandad, there not to be much work done about the farm today, replied the young man, stuffing his fingers into his pockets for jeans, and he gazed into the slow line of traffic crawling up Market Street. A stream of people dawdled along the footpaths, shaking the wet off closed up umbrellas. You weren't at the match then, the old man announced, jumping his way forward onto his toes. A few stray grey hairs became separated from his coat over as he fitted down to the breeze. The younger man's eyes became focused on the worn face, squinted against the dazzling after the rain sun. Nah, the hamstring went again last week, he replied, shifting his feet awkwardly towards the public house beside him. Do you know how we did? The old man questioned. I didn't venture out in that rain. Nah, but the results should be on Twitter, he said with a snigger. Aye, Twitter, eh? His grandfather retorted, rolling his eyes. The young man smiled and looked to his exit. Right, Granda, I better go on now, the boys will be waiting for me. Right, good luck with the leg. Hopefully you won't be out as long as you were the last time. Shouted the rusty voice as his grandson disappeared into the gloom. He paced onward towards the street, pulling the cap out of his pocket and over the unruly remnants of his hair. Feckin' Twitter. Morbid at brows, bloody cheek. Didn't notice the man waving at him across the street. Well, Maliki, how's the form? Shouted a thick bog accent. His His eyes rose from his shoes to see Mickey Peter, shoulders hunched against the brisk autumn air as he jogged limply into Malachy's direction. "Aye, Mickey!" His shout was muffled by the collar of his coat. "What was the score?" 2-9 to 5 pints. We were shocking. All his fumbling and fist passing. We'd have made a better hand of it ourselves, answered the stumpy, overweight man. "Jesus knows, Mickey. At least when we were there, we got a good few medals," the taller man scolded. "A pint, Malachy?" asked the shorter man, rubbing his two chubby palms together. "Aye, sure, just the one." The two men weren't far from McNeil's. They moved down the street with purpose, weaving through the maze of matchgoers. Mickey's left leg hit the ground, heavy, with every step. Sitting on 2 high stools in the dim bar, Malachy asked the young boy for 2 stout. Mickey habitually followed the other order with 2 powers. A gas fire glowed orange from under the spade sticks and the air was heavy. "Your young fella didn't talk out today," observed Mickey, wiping the white blood from his beard with a swift push of his right hand. "He's got some newfangled injury." "In other words, he's away drinking," answered Malachy. "He had the gall to tell me he took to look up the results on Twitter." "Well, there's no passion in football these days, Malachy," continued Mickey. "I was talking to Paddy Traynor the other night at the meeting, and he said that the club's gone to the dogs. All tactics and psychologists these days. Too much talk and not enough football. God, Paddy Traynor, I haven't come across him in an age. What's he at? Slowed up a town. The old arthritis and some bowel problem." Mickey took a long, slow gulp of his Guinness. There was a time he wasn't too slow. Malachy answered shrewdly, shifting on his stool to see who was in the room. Reminiscence over Paddy's youthful days were played back and forth. Malachy had been postmaster in Emmy Vale and Trua and along Carrow, right up near Auckland for 35 years. At that time he also had control of the telephone exchange. To this day people would pass him in the streets and not look him in the eye because of the things he knew. But Malachy prided himself on his quiet tongue. Only twice after a feed of stout and whiskey had he let slip some innocuous information. He had been there the night Paddy was involved in the courthouse burning in Maherafelt in the 50s. The word came through that Traynor had been running around with some young lad called Costello, and they'd gotten themselves into some serious trouble. The RUC had known for a long time and this time that they nearly had him. A week after the incident, Malachy saw him getting into a car near Loch Emin, looking the worst for the wear. He said nothing. Paddy returned to the football and followed the season after things died down. He wouldn't be so much as to look at me because of everything I knew, the fool, laughed Malachy. As if he cared what he was at. Mind you, arthritis or no arthritis, I still wouldn't cross that bite. Aye, agreed Mickey. So the Mullins wouldn't run about with them boys too. Would have run about with them boys too. Staunch Republican, the lot. I remember well walking into the house more than once, and some bio on the run would have been hidden away in the back kitchen, giving tea and apple tart and anything he wanted. The man's large round head shook at his own story. Pure royalty to those people, whatever he'd done. I was in the odd safe house myself, says Paddy. There was always a buzz about the place. The women running about like clock and hen, only stopping to store a pot on the range or let out a sigh at the roof. The children were quieter too. Little serious faces all whispering in corners. Aye, it was just the way of it, Malky, said he. But still, we never got too deep into it all the same, said Malky, leaning back on a stool with his arms folded and the glass in front of him empty. Mickey eyed the young boy behind the bar pointed at the empty vessels. I have nothing against the other side of the house, Malky continued. Sure, I've had plenty of dealings with Graham, the cattle dealer, in opposite line. People always said that he was as black as your boot. But he had good prices and no massing. Aye, agreed Mickey. Mind you, he added, shifting in his seat to glance around the bar, them Mullins would have put on an end to yon boy if they had the chance. That's right, Mickey, replied Malky. You know, I often think of it when I'm up on the bragging with Shep on a good clear day. He began, and no one smiled as his eyes stared straight ahead. I'd say to myself, what goings on happened up there? As Malky inhaled the sharp powers, he wondered how many heavy polythene sacks were slapped into the shallow, wet holes before their time. About 30 years ago, he was up there with a different dog, a wee Springer bitch called Tracey. He watched uneasily as she sniffed around the perfect hole in earth, 6 feet long and 2 feet wide. It all empty and black. All he could do was turn and walk away. Again he said nothing and never went back. Mickey shook his wide jowls at the story and he heard numerous times before. He coughed and straightened himself from the stool as new ears pulled up beside them. You missed the post, Malky? He queried. Malky blinked and looked up, pulled himself up into his meditations. He drowned the frothy end of the pint and smacked the glass in the bar. 35 years, Mickey. A good round number. I would have stayed 40 only the old sheiks made everything too complicated. Computers instead of lumps and all them new houses shooting up like thistles. You'll see the name of the estate just down the road that hadn't existed a few months earlier. Lands. You'll be better off out of it, answered Mickey, as he stared absently at the downbeat match on the telly at home. Then sure things got hard then when Peggy passed on. Malky continued. Looked into his whiskey. I wasn't minding myself like she did. It was hard to believe that clock came and took her so quick. Happy death, obviously. That's right. God, she was some woman for me, replied Mickey, scratching himself on the head and leaned over the bar. You'll have another. No, Mickey, I'll go home. Another couple that I'll be in bed for the day tomorrow. Fair enough, Malky. Mickey nodded and smiled and glad that he had not yet reached the age when he had to stop for a few pints. I'll give you a shout before the match on Wednesday. Not that it'll be up to that much. That's grand, Mickey. Good luck, replied the old man, pulling on his woolen cap. But as he left the pub, he nodded goodbye to the neighbours in the snow. On opening the door and onto the street, both the afternoon light and the air hit him like ice water. Jesus, growled. Turned in onto the street, noting his uneven steps, the beginnings of a headache. 83 years old and still no wit. He heard Peggy's voice and smiled. home in his armchair by the empty grate, he sipped his cup of tea and mused over the talk he had with Mickey. Things had changed without him noticing. Now his worries weren't of bombs or shootings, but of computers and feckin' Twitter. In some ways things seemed simpler, and in others a hell of a lot more complicated. Was he the only one who thought the whole thing was gone mad? His grandchildren and even their mothers and fathers were leaving them behind, and it was far from computers and internet that they were reared. Lucky to have a sponge and butter in the evening after school. Peggy had the right idea. Get out while the going's good. Ah well, he thought, leaning his head back against the chair, and not be too far behind her.
Thanks, Conor, for that wonderful interpretation of the God of Mind by our own Sinead sermon. Next up, people, we have Andrea Roeder. Andrea's going to read 3 of her poems and introduce them to you. She's the artist responsible for the lovely watercolours in Drumlin Hearts. Andrea is originally from Germany. She joined our group this summer and has become one of our core members. She's currently working on a logbook to poetry entitled Visibly Under Canvas. She has a unique poetic style, a wonderful eye for the elusive detail, and has provided, as I said before, with the lovely artwork for Drumlin Hearts. So I'll hand you over and a big round of applause for Andrea.
life-changing decisions. And it's a bit like Hamlet's monologue, where he said, to be or not to be, that's the question, whether it is noble in mind. To suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles and have it goes in end. So I call my own poem Hamlet. Sharing is my destiny. You told me there when I questioned who I am. In a brainstorming, you stated words of meaning and feeling. Now I am cool, or should I say burned out. Between fire and water, I catwalk on a sea of droplets. Should I go, or should I walk? Maybe decide, or rather fight. Feeling blue, I yearn for sanguines, want life, not embracing death. Arbeit amongst those braggadocios, hope of survival persists. My gentle spirit, deliver me to be a rock, never swaying from its crown, or a droplet, lovingly moved on the crest of the wave. The next poem is about the connection between the wild birds and the domestic birds in our garden, and also about the promise of good future resembled by the novel. Birds in my head. They come in our stone garden. Green finches, gold ticks, chaffinches, song thrush now and then. The sparrows in flocks, and the scavengers in black unbidden, as the cheeky magpies descend. The feeder swinging on a rope, while the dwarfish claws clasp with jabbing tail or sucking hooks, hungry and fluttering. But in my head, I always expect to see a robin, his orange red chest like a beacon. Sometimes he is real, pecking at scraps of leftover morning porridge thrown out as a lure. One time, I saw him, peering in the pen of our whales, who have names and were walking back without fear. Birds in my head are like robins, bearing a promise on their flaming chest. And the last poem I read, the Japanese bridge. I tried to span a sparking connection between spheres, feelings, movements, reflections and spirits, imagined as an eyeball and an arrow, as contrast to bluish greens. Japanese bridge. Woven red across water lilies and reed, while the wind is swaying spears and spires of green, on and along tirelessly, all-taught glassy water beneath. Eye-catching red, a giant bow drawn tight, aimed towards the skies. The arrow, missing red, but reflected in dense netting, through blades and lances afloat. Their aquatic, glinting greens, bordering the bluish trees. Vermilion, the arching bridge is waiting and turning to shoot shoulders skywards.
Wunderbar!
Thank you so much, Andrea, for sharing those three lovely poems with us and also giving us the background to them. Next up again, we have Sinead McDermott. This time Sinead is going to read one of her poems for you. You heard her narrative earlier, as well as the poems. Now I'm going to invite Sinead to read Tablets, Toilet and Teeth and give you a background to it as well. Sinead.
I wrote this about last year, and it was about a man who was volunteer listening to me about 5 years ago, and he was so grumpy and angry that he was very likable. So this is in memory of him. Tablets, toilet, tape. Conversations of human courage, I speak of you. Atrophied hands combing the white bell, unable to clench it.
That frame supported by the bed, emaciating dim. Those sunken eyes filled with direction and scorn. The evening ritual was Talbot's toilet tea. The engineer struggled with his brush, carcass buttressed by the sink. Then rested with rosary beads to gaze on walls, ceiling and clock. An elusive smile fleeted across grieving lips. Your brilliant mind abhorred pity. Psychophantic meanderings were met with an acrid tongue. Warmth of common love could not subsist, you did not allow it. In the close did you lament? Would a tender, tear-stained smile have eased? One morning your breath raised. You discerned what I did not. My ears attended to the ailing machine with a lasting end. We gathered at your exodus, eyes of the great floor. After your leaving, we did not speak, just waited. I have not moved far from where we met. I work on. Still, I see more prisoners, youthful and aged, knowing and unknowing, bound in bodies not conducive to life. I will continue to speak of you.
Very deep poem and very intriguing to listen to. Next up, we have a poem by another of our original members, Mary Tracey, the lady who's made tonight's launch and indeed the booklet itself possible. I think we probably can't credit Mary enough for her input to all of this in the last few weeks. So, Mary, everybody. The poem is entitled My Name is Ellie, and this superb tour de force was inspired by a class exercise last year. However, its verses explore the concept of familial loss, the traits we inherit and disinherit along the ancestral way. And we're very, very lucky tonight to have the superb Bailey actress Mary Cronin to read My Name is Ellie by Mary Tracey.
By Mary Tracey. Today is my birthday. All I am is a 74-year-old mother. My mother died at my age. That was 34 years ago now. I kept her memorial card. He always took it for granted. I see our home back then. I hear Dad playing the melodeon, you tapping your feet. A happy couple, a happy family. 13, the oldest of your four. We sit on the hard back chairs and cushions embroidered by you. Your hands, nimble fingers, embroidering the songs to the canon. You and clergy. That's all we heard. The cold evening, we're sitting warming ourselves, flames dancing to the music, to the hard fire, protecting us from a stormy winter evening. My mouth tastes dry. Never cried at your funeral. Couldn't find the tears. Never understand why the rest of them cried. I never felt you loved me, like I deserved to be loved. You made me do the heavy farm work, looking after the young ones. You sent the rest to school. I had to go out to work. I deserved better. Yet, you left the farm to the boys. The girls got nothing. We had our husbands. What more would we want? You remind me of my daughter. Her face is like yours. She takes after the Caseys. I remember your face in the coffin. So young. Not a single wrinkle. You could have been 30. You always looked immaculate. Your shiny white hair tied back in a perfect bun. The smell of fresh carrots. Holding your rosary beads in your veiny hands. You blamed me fault. Told me I couldn't please him. He was a useless drunk. Yet you took his side. I poured love into my children. They were all I had. The children, you've done well. You lost your son to cancer 2 years ago. The boys, as usual, got the farm. They fell out over it, still not talking. I guess you know about that. I often wonder, are you both together now? I have survived. Why did you not love me? I was beautiful and smart. Yet, I married him to escape you. Why did you blame me? I once never knew about drink. I was naive. I thought he would change. How could you send me out like that? Why didn't you protect me more? It was your role. Was I your shame? You had perfect marriage. You never really needed us. You two blocked us out, always chattering together, talking to us to get us to bed. I couldn't wait to die to be with Dad again. I'm sorry for not crying. Cannot cry. I am hard. You once told me that crying was selfish. It meant you only felt sorry for yourself. Never cry. I spoke to my daughter this weekend. I can talk to her. She's so like you. You'd really like her. She called the wee one Mary. I shared these things, confessed my hardness. She thinks you love me. I couldn't see the bigger picture. You thought I was so strong. You thought I was headstrong and could cope. You were proud of me. You didn't understand my pain. Today is my birthday. I'm an old woman now. I had one last wish. It's to hear those words from you.
Thank you, Mary, for that lovely sensitive and also powerful rendition of My Name is Ellie by Mary Tracey. Next up, we have one of our members who joined us in the summer, Francis MacDonald. Francie is our monologue man, and he's held us all captivated with his monologues, both brave and humorous, since he's joined us in the summer. Tonight he's going to read Bridget and Me from Drumlin Hearts, and so I'll hand you over a big round of applause, please, for Francis.
I said Ian met the other night, thinking of the time me and Bridget got married. Oh, my mind runs back. And the year was 69. I never forget when I turned round, she was walking up the aisle. She had her father by the arm. I'll never forget that smile. The chapel was quarter full of friends and family too. I was the happiest man in the world, she said I do. But the place was fairly quick. The ceremony didn't last that long. But that didn't seem to matter. I knew what I had was strong. I remember them handfuls of confetti, like snow on the floor. And the man with that big camera, we smiled outside the door. The trip to the reception wasn't very far. We felt like king and queen, back at Johnny Mack's in Boston, Cambridge Town. With the brightness of that hall, and the tables there in rows, and the white cake at the top, with big ribbons and rose. But the food was good, and the speech was grand. And we danced all night to the swing time band. We honeymooned in Galway. I remember we went in the bus. She chatted the whole way, never is any fuss. On that week in Galway, it was like heaven on earth. We planned our whole life, played in the sun. We prayed at night, at least a family of four, and keep sickness and bad health away from the road. As we made our way back to our house in a little bit of land, we chatted and we laughed. She had me with the hand. We got to the door and carried her in. Oh, I can still feel her. Soft face and well, she looked around the house. You know, she never had been there before. She got a little veranda where she met a big mouse at the bedroom door. But the floor it was rotten and the smell it was stiff. So she sent me to town for a gal in the gym. As I pedalled the town on the big roddy bike, I whistled a tune and put power to her leg. We scrubbed and we whitewashed and we painted the doors. We got lino from travellers for a couple of floors. After a week of hard work, she got the place it was glowing. And it was saying to go, and the rooster was crowing. We got a dog, a cat, a few cows, and a ghost. And a big jackass, I often threatened to like flinch them. Our times were tough. There was no money in the land. So I got a job on the roads, with cash in my hand. I was bought a wee 150. But a white box on the back. We were never together. We enjoyed the crack. She'd wrap her arms around me and gave me on the tree. We'd stop to rest. She'd stop to me. You know, she was the taste camogie of a sat. All she could make stick right. And them young ones she taught were the face in Annie Matthews. In her sleep at night before a game, she was a danger beside when she started raining. She'd shout, niece me or collie, Sue's apartment was up in the coolie. You know, I'd swear she could see the goalpost at the end of the bed. She'd wake up in the morning with a pain in her head. Oh, I'll never forget the night we went for cleaning the fire. She was sitting on a stool at the front of the fire. She says, I've news for you, boy, I think you'll be glad. We're about 7 months' time when we get on. We're going down on our knees and we pray to the man above to give our child the gifts of kindness and love. A few weeks later when we went to visit the doctor, when he told us she was having twins, so we nearly fell with the shock. We sold the 150 and we bought a wee car. You know, it was the first time in life I ever drove out without a handlebar. Her things was going well, she was nearly halfway there. One night she woke me from my sleep. Then she had a pain she couldn't bear. Oh, that journey to the hospital, it didn't seem long. But shortly after we got there, the angels was torn. Well, that was a tough time in our life. But we were young and strong. And we had the willpower for to carry on. She got to the age of 50. You know, she never gave up hope. On them little prayers she said at night, she would have to cope. I think she started to fade. My life would stop. And less than 2 years after, she didn't go to her. Oh, she got nearly 50 years ago. How well he got through them years, you'll never know. Last winter, that big frost and snow. I don't know how I didn't die. And the loneliness at night used to make me cry. Until one night I went to the hot place for a blanket to find. So I pulled out this white cloth bag. You know, I'd never seen it before. It must have been blank. But inside was 4 little blankets with pink and blue spots. So I put them on my bed. Looked like 2 cots. All the heated and blankets that made me go flow. From the top of my head to the tip of my toe. Now my health is good. I know someday we should meet. I know she'll up there somewhere. Reading bedtime stories to children around her feet. Now I say our little prayers before I go to bed. And I hang a beads upon a nail, just above my head. I think I'll end the story. I can see as we're all getting too sad. Don't worry, I'll be back next year to tell us about the good times and the fun that we had.
Thanks to Francie went on to that wonderful monologue, Bridget and me, and so much feeling went into that. I think I even saw a few tears in his eyes towards the end. So excellent work, Francie. Next up, we have one of our own original members again, Mary Tracey. You've heard a poem by her already earlier tonight. My name is Ellie, but now she's going to read for you Two Hedgehogs, a quirky take on the prickly consequences that occur when relationships turn sour. I hand you over to a lady who's made everything possible tonight, our own Mary Tracey.
I was inspired to write this poem after watching a late-night American TV show about relationships. And there was a number of relationship experts on the program, and they concluded that everybody was divided into two types of personalities. You're either a crocodile or you're a hedgehog. A crocodile, because it's got its big blood, they talk a lot, right? And the conclusion was that a crocodile type personality, they tend to make for better relationships simply because they talk. On the other hand, you've got the crocodile, and they curl up into their little spiky balls and don't talk. And unfortunately, this sometimes leads to sad and unhealthy relationships. And this one tonight is about the hedgehog type personality. I hope you enjoy it, and maybe for some of you it will be a little food for thought. Okay? It's called Two Hedgehogs. The wine we sipped was sweet, intoxicated, drank each other, becoming one became two and later four. We're playing happy families. We grew up. It was the small things at first, the selfish deed, the piercing look, all unresolved hurts. Hearts grew hairline cracks. Words shot sharp and spiky as we picked our scars. Slowly, small became large. The day that trust was broken, we swallowed vinegar. Punctured hearts, the pain hurt. No bandage to fit. We blamed each other. Our chasm deepened. 2 years later, the paper signed. We licked our wounds. No act of forgiveness, just chipped hearts of resentment. Mistakes soon to be repeated. Both ignoring little foxes, destroying vines. We were two hedgehogs.
Thank you, Mary, for that beautiful reading of Two Hedgehogs. Next up, we have another poem by Lorna Milligan, which captures a mystical infantile world, and it narrates the spell of motherhood from both a parental and a child's perspective. Maybe the Freudian slip was in some way in place there. Anyway, Conor is going to read Spell by Lorna Milligan for us. Thanks, Conor.
Spell. All at once we are driving in the clouds. Fog mesmerizes. You sleep in your booster beside me. The baby coos in the back. Drunk on milk. Rustling quietly. A mop, breath, fuss. My heart opens. The aftertaste of failure that once soured my joy. spells in an instant.
Thank you, Conor. Our next poem is a charming and seasonal poem by Patricia Dool. Again, Patricia joined us this summer. She has an expert eye for nature and she draws her poems with great sensitivity and a palpable palette of emotions. So tonight Patricia's going to read for us Autumn Beonings. Patricia.
Autumn Beonings. Encrusted browns scattered dryly, blowing damp upon olive dewy strands, where woeful whirlwinds muster to obscure greens, daubing a scene of a herb and spice market, thymes and sages flash dagger-like, glistening frost-raised tendril, sparsely freckled twigs, sun and shade, dappled grey, browns and waters, air gasps, chill and fog unfurling. Beyond the cyanose drumlins tingle, shiver with forethoughts of intriguing dawnings, misty mornings, pimpled preface to a new day. Thank you.
Much, Patricia, that was beautiful. Next we have Cavan's own Dr. Kieran Parker, and Kieran's going to do a monologue. He's going to recite a monologue for us. I think it's going to be a Slan and Brian one. So we invite Kieran to take the stage. Big round of applause.
Right, are you all having a good time?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Better. Well, I'm going to recite two poems by Cavan Writers, who in my opinion was one of the greatest writers Ireland has produced. But I think in fact, even, no, I think Flann will be the first to admit he was no poet. And in fact, these two poems give vivid display of how bad he could be in fact. In fact, when he was an undergraduate, the National University in Dublin took a competition to try and find the world's worst poems. And these two poems were entered by the young Brian Nolan. And he won first and second. However, they were then saved from infamy by inclusion in his writing comparable novel. That's when two words. And so I will recite them now as they appear in the novel. And please be kind to me because I might forget them, you know. A lot of people simply want to be a politician. Now, when things go wrong and nothing's right, though you do the best you can. When life looks black, like the hour or night, a point of play is your only man. When money's tight and hard to get, and your heart has also round, when all you have is the point of death, point of play is the only man. When health's not good, and your heart beats strange, and your face is warm and pale. When doctors say you need a change, a point of play is your only man. When food is scarce and your lands are bare, and the rations create your path. When hunger grows, cause your meals are rare. Is your only man. In times of trouble and lousy strife, you still have a darling plan. you still can choose a brighter life. 'Cause a point of life
Is your
only man. Thank you. Now, here's the next one. Come on, ye lads and lassies prime, from a croon to old Strabane, and come and list while I tell my rhyme. The gift of God is a walking man. Your men, okay, again, even though I had it read off. Your lords and people of high degree are a proud and noble clan. They do the best, but they cannot see. The gift of God is a working man. From Spain to France and to Holland, yay, from the shores of far Japan. You'll find the people will always say, the gift of God is a working man. He's good, he's strong, and his heart is free. If he lavies or drives a van, he'll shake your hand with a grama tree. The gift of God is a working man. Your lords and ladies are fine to see, and sure, they do the best they can. But here's the slogan for you and me. The working man. The gift of God is a working man. Now here's the last verse. Come on, lads and ladies. The working man. The working man. Hooray! Hooray for the working man. He'll love you sweat till he's nearly dead. The gift of God is a working man. Thank you. Because of the, I thought I'd just give you a brief sort of rendition of one of the finest pieces of doggerel ever written in Irish literature. You have heard of James Joyce and you have heard of his short story collection, Drumlin Hearts. When he first signed the contract for it, the publishers, who were a really nasty crowd called Monsell & Co., actually pulped all of the collection that they had published. And he was so annoyed by it that he left in high dudgeon for Venice. And with his contract, which was now rendered not worth the paper it was written on, he wrote on the back this famous doggerel: gas from a burner. Now, you just thought to allow me to put on my cloth, you know? Now, ladies and gents, we are here assembled to hear why earth and heaven tremble, because of the black and sinister arts of an Irish writer in foreign parts. He said me about pool 10 years ago. I read it 100 times or so, backwards and forwards, down and up, from both ends of a telescope. I printed it all to the very last word. But then, the darkness of my mind was rent, and I saw the writer's foul intent. I owe a duty to Ireland. I hold her honour in my hand. This lovely land which has always sent her writers and artists to banishment, and in the spirit of Irish fun has betrayed her own leaders one by one. 'Twas Irish humour wet and dry, so quick climb into Parnell's eyes. 'Tis Irish brains that saved from doom the leaky bar to the bishop of Rome. But everyone knows the Pope can't belch without the consent of Billy Welsh. Oh, Ireland, my first and only love, were Christ and Caesar, hand in glove. Oh, lovely land where the shamrock grows. A lovely lady to blow my nose. To show you for scriptures, I don't give a button. I printed the poems about Nee Mutton and the play he wrote. You've read it, I'm sure, where he talks of bastard, bugger, and poor, and a play on the word in Holy Paul, and someone's legs that I cannot recall, written by more a genuine gent that lives on his property 10%. I printed mystical books by dozens. I printed the table book of dozens. So, asking your pardon, but as for the verse, give a heartburn on your arse. I printed folklore from north and south by Gregory of the Golden Mouse. I printed poets, sad, silly, and solemn. I printed Patrick, what do you call it? I printed the great John Millicent's He Who Soars Above in the Angels' Wing, in the playboy shift that he pinched, and swag from Maunsell's travellers travelling back. But I draw the line at that bloody fella who was over here dressed in Austrian yellow, spouting Italia by the hour to O'Leary, Curtis and John White Power, and writing of Dublin, dirty and dear, in a manner no blackable, printable, bare. Shite audience, does he think I print the name of the Wellington Monument, of Sandyman Tram, of Sydney Parade, the Sandyman Tram, of Downes's Cave Shop, and Williams's Jam? I'm damned if I do. I'm damned to places to talk about Irish names of places. It's wonder to me upon my school he forgot to mention Curly's Pool. No, ladies, my press shall have no party. So gross saliva on stepmother M. I pity the poor. That's why I took a red-headed Scotsman to keep my book. For sister Scotland, her doom has fell. She cannot find any more Stuarts to sell. My mind is as fine as tiny silk. My heart is soft as buttermilk. Colin can tell you I give a rebate for £100 on the estimate I get for this Irish review. I love my country, by herrings I do. I wish you could see the tears I weep when I think of the emigrant train and ship. And that's one of the reasons I publish far and wide my quite illegible railway guide. In the porch of my printing institute, the poor and deserving prostitute plays every night at catch can with her tight-breeched British artillery band. And the farmer learns the gift of the gap from the drunk and draggy-tailed Dublin rap. Who was it said? Resist not evil. I burn that book, so help me devil. And I see a farm as I walk along, and the ashes keep in a one-handed urn. This I penance do with farts and groans, kneeling upon my marrow bones. This very next Lent I shall bear my penitent buttocks to the air, and sobbing beside my printing press, my awful sin I shall confess. By my red-headed Scotsman from Bannockburn, dipping his right arm into the urn, will sign criss-cross with reverent thumb, memento horo upon my thumb. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Kieran Parsons for those wonderful renditions. Glenn O'Brien, Joyce, thank you Kieran, excellent. Before I reach our conclusion tonight and our thank you list, I'm going to share with you one of my own poems called Freshwater Drowning. So it's kind of short. The inspiration for this one was a radio news report really that I'd heard about a young boy drowning, and it was written during the first class really, so that's why it's in the volume, and it was for the class. The personal side was based on a friend at the time who was also lost in a different sense, carried away by a different tide. So the title of this poem is Freshwater Drowning. Your shriveled hand, so softly clenched, fumbling still with fistfuls of vistas, a newborn fossil watermarked at birth, we gather batedly to await your cry. Its sound lies gibbous in another's mouth, while tear shadows dribble the blue blush cheeks. Still birthed on the swollen bank below Sarsfield's bridge, thread-veined waters fold maternally beyond the cowled cherub of your buoyant hulk. An accidental immersion, a stretcher soft cuffs forward. I watch the bloated flood pools dimple as again you get carried away, a life buoy still draping from a freshwater grave. It was difficult to follow, Kieran. Okay, we've got quite a list of thank yous for you all. Afterwards, Tracey's going to give us a couple of songs more, which is great. Tracey McManus will do another set for us. So, a very, very long list of thank yous for tonight, and bear with me throughout these.